In this video, we're going to go over Dr. Art Robinson's steps to an optimum self-teaching homeschool. I've got them here and we're going to talk about them, so let's get started. Hi everybody, my name is Karen. Welcome back to our channel called Our House, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you'd like to go from questions to confidence, when it comes to the Robinson curriculum, I'm here to answer questions. And in this video, we're going to answer the question, how do I really set myself up for success? And we're going to go straight to the source, which is the creator of this program, Dr. Art Robinson. And this is an article that he wrote that you might have missed on the website. There's a lot of information on the website. I know it can be a little difficult to navigate, but if you just go through each tab on the side on the far left, you will read just so much great information. And so this is one of them, steps to an optimum self-teaching homeschool. So let's just jump right in. Number one, he says here, I urge every parent to A, remove your children from their group school, public or private. So obviously that's step number one. Take them out of public school, take them out of private school, whatever kind of school they're in, it's time to take them out. Now more than ever, I would say. B, set aside a room in your home with a large desk for each child. And so this might look differently for different families and home sizes, but if you can, have a large desk for each child. C, remove all television sets from your home. And we'll talk about these points at the end, kind of breaking them down a little bit, but that is Dr. Robinson's recommendation. C, remove all television sets from your home. D, remove all sugar and honey from the children's diets. At meals, provide them with unlimited amounts of the most nutritious food that you can prepare. So if possible, just avoid boxed canned substitutes. They contain sugar, so just don't even buy them. E is purchase a complete set of the Saxon math series of texts and answers. So you want the books and you want the answer keys, the complete set of the titles that they recommend. You don't have to purchase every single Saxon math book. Obviously, don't buy Saxon 1, don't buy Saxon 2, don't buy Saxon 3, start with 5-4, and even then, after that, there's certain specific books you should buy, and I think there's like one you should avoid. G, give the children a large breakfast. We eat only 2 meals each day, and then consign them to 5 hours of work as described above, 6 days per week, and at least 10 months per year. So, H, if possible, do your own work in or near the room in which the children are working. Don't talk to them, just set an example of working hard yourself. This is probably especially important if there are only 1 or 2 children in the home. With 6 children, our schoolroom has internal peer examples of studying that surround each student, which is true. The more children you have, there's that peer pressure, to fall in line, to do what you're supposed to be doing. Next is after their 5 hours is complete, no breaks except for the bathroom, go on about your personal lives. Next up, when the oldest child is 15 years old, obtain a set of SAT exams at your local bookstore and have the child take one of these tests every 3 or 4 months. So you can purchase one of these books yourself at the bookstore and introduce them to test taking, because as you may have noticed in the curriculum, there are no examinations or tests. Now, obviously, there are some that parents have developed for the books that they have uploaded to RC Online and the Facebook groups, but apparently originally there were no examinations or tests. And that's how we do it here at our house too. I don't have tests. So introducing the SATs at that age is just a great way for them to learn about test taking. Okay, K, when each child finishes calculus, continue on with college level physics text and a college level chemistry text on the same schedule as with the Saxon math. Be sure that these texts include lots of problems and an answer book for self-grading. So all that time of not doing a whole lot of science in the earlier years, now's the time where you're really going to put the pedal to the metal, right? Children who have not yet learned to read require a brief period of special instruction. They must be taught to read by means of phonics. There are several good phonics programs out there. And these consist of various procedures for teaching sounds and letters, combinations, etc. There's phonics flashcards in RC. I made a little guide to go with them, kind of following the Ruth B. Chick book with the McGuffey readers, just what what letters, sounds, phonograms, words to start out with. And also there are great programs like Alphaphonics, obviously, is on RC Online. I really like Progressive Phonics, which is all free online. So many great tools and resources, but that is something you really got to get dialed in. And I understand having special needs children, I do, and you still just have to take the time as long as it takes to really get them solid with reading. If you try to just patch things up, hurry up, get them in the first RC book, it's going to be miserable. So just take the time, a brief period of special instruction. All right, so let's talk about some of the more harder sayings. Who can hear these hard sayings, right, of this program, this outline? Let's talk about some of the hard sayings. No TV, right? I know that one is tough for a lot of people, especially if maybe they're on board, but their spouse is not on board. And I've always said, just try to keep the peace. It's better to submit to your husband's leadership, but there are things you can do to encourage doing something else other than watching TV, having a board game box nearby, etc. All right, so let's talk about why not just regulate the TV. Dr. Robinson's recommendations here. Children learn by example. So if you watch TV, then they will watch TV. And my pastor says this all the time, what parents do in moderation, the kids will do in excess. So that is something to keep in mind. Children easily learn well-reasoned and truthful absolutes. If TV is mentally harmful, then it is harmful and should be avoided always. How can it be harmful sometimes and not others? Why is it not good for the older children, but all right for the younger children? And this is something actually that I was talking about with another homeschooler that has a YouTube channel, a very popular channel, JD. You guys probably follow her as well. We were talking about this and how I brought up baby Einstein. Parents thought it was so great and it was going to make their kids smart, and they're putting their little babies in front of this, and it turned out later that it was actually very damaging for babies' brains. And I believe in overseas, I think it was in Britain, I was reading, there was a huge lawsuit and they had to pay out to all these families, on these claims that they said it was going to make their kids smarter, and it actually hurt them. Most American children are addicted to TV. Their brains spend 4 hours or more each day learning bad passive habits from the TV, and another few hours unlearning the bad habits. If they are fortunate to have good activities too, then if there are any hours left, they can make positive progress. So, moreover, the TV is used as a tranquilizer. All right, so let's move on. I'm sure all of you out there probably feel as guilty as I do right now. Let's move on. Let's try to be better, right? Okay, cut out added sugar. That's another one that's a big deal with a lot of families. So cutting out all sugar seems impossible, right? Why can't we regulate that too? Well, sugar, especially when consumed by children, have serious detrimental effects. One of them is tooth decay. Okay, so that's something to consider. Sugar alters the metabolism in such a way as to increase the probability of diabetes, hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, immune deficiencies that can lead to cancer and other fatal illnesses at a later age. Now, obviously, we're not saying cut out all sugar. There is natural sugar in fruits, vegetables, and virtually all foods have a little bit of sugar. So you're still going to have a little bit. You're just not doing all the added sugar. And he talks about how at one point their 11-year-old made whole wheat bread from flour that he would grind from whole wheat kernels. He would make it entirely without sugar or other sweeteners, but he would occasionally add some raisins. And that tasted sweet to them. All right, so another point is that I don't want my children to appear different. That's another maybe problem that parents have. But on the contrary, we want our children to not only appear different, but also be different. The TV and cookie rules are a good place to reinforce this. Okay, so here's another one, and I talked about this one in my criticism of RC video, is I want to interact with the children in their studies, okay? So I'm interested to see what this response is. It's hard to imagine a Christian home with children present 24 hours per day and no time sinks such as television, where there is not as much or more quality child-adult interaction than the family member wants or needs. This interaction is an important part of learning. Books are certainly not the sole source of knowledge. And this is exactly what I was saying in that criticism video. I mean, are you not interacting with your children all day and teaching them things throughout the day? Of course you are. However, just as you cannot insert a calculator into a child's brain so that he or she can think quantitatively, you cannot insert yourself into the child's brain as a lifelong crutch. The brain must learn by itself, function by itself, have confidence in itself alone, and achieve by itself. You will not always be there to help with academic answers. Also, if the child learns to depend upon you as social and spiritual protective peer group, whom will he choose for that purpose when he enters the secular world? The possibilities in today's world are chilling indeed, and I agree with that. If the child receives too much individual attention, he can develop a dependency upon his teacher that is difficult to break. And I think you see this a lot with the dropout rate in college. Young adults go in there having kind of just been babied and spoon-fed information, and someone's always keeping track of their attendance or their lessons or their homework. None of that when you go to college. Okay, here's another one. My child does not enjoy math or science. Now, if math and science are learned correctly, they are enjoyable to most people. This is a huge fundamental, I believe, just important fact, truthful fact here. If a child does not enjoy math and science, it's usually because they're not learning it in the correct way that is enjoyable to them. Because these kind of things, they are enjoyable to people. Our society is now entirely based upon the products of science and engineering. An individual who lacks an understanding of these disciplines is dependent upon those who do. Moreover, at the pre-college level, these disciplines are the best way to learn logic and honest thought. If math and science are learned correctly, they are enjoyable to most people. If they are not learned or learned incorrectly, they are not enjoyable. Okay? So, for example, learning science through books like this is enjoyable. And here's the last one when it comes to resistance to all of this is maybe you're thinking, my child is already so far in with public school. They're already at this grade level. They've gone the whole way through. Why would I really want to take them out and kind of start all over and implement rules like this? Well, a public school student who encounters a high quality self-teaching homeschool curriculum for the first time, yes, they may sit staring at material that he or she is convinced is impossible or unreasonable. Let the student sit there. Eventually, they will respond. If they do not, then at least you show them the way of excellence rather than showing them the way to mediocrity while dishonestly fooling them into thinking otherwise for the transient benefit of false hope and domestic tranquility. So you have to make a hard decision. Are you just going to kind of compromise just for this false domestic tranquility? Or at least you could say, I tried. I showed them the way of excellence. I showed them how to teach themselves, how to think for themselves. I tried. And I think that's a big takeaway of all of this is to just try. Just try. What do you have to lose? You could be pleasantly surprised. It could just be revolutionary to your home life, to your homeschool. So just try. And if you're curious more about the Robinson curriculum, I made a 13-part free video course on it. I will link it in a card and in the description below that you can check it out and learn all about it. And I talk about some of these things in the frequently asked questions. So I invite you to check that out. And I also recommend the Robinson Curriculum Lifetime Bundle because that gives you everything that you need and sets you up for success. All of those Saxon books that you need. Like I said, you don't need all the Sax books ever written. There's just a specific amount, specific few. And, you know, the vocabulary, start there. That's a great way to start. And the course of study that Dr. Robinson wrote. As you can see just from this list, he does not hold back. He's going to be honest with you. And so his course of study is worth, in my opinion, the entire price of the curriculum. And if you buy it, you also do get an hour coaching session with me if you want it. If you want to take me up on it and we can discuss how to exactly make this, you know, be successful in your home with your circumstances. I will leave all that information in the description below. Check it out, and I will see you in another video.